I'm Corbett Wall with USDA Livestock and Grain Market News, here with your weekly feeder and stocker cattle market summary for the week ending July the 12th, where we're going back for a 2-week trend right there, since we didn't have a summary last week, right after the 4th of July there. But for a 2-week trend, this yearling feeder cattle demand just exploded right during the 4th of July holiday and the 2 weeks right there during the what normally is a midsummer marketing break. But right during that holiday period there, yearling feeder cattle just turned sharply higher, gaining $6 to $10 higher fully throughout the major trading areas, especially out in the major grass regions there, where those cattle are coming off a lot of those double stock pastures in the Flint Hills, and in the Osage region, those cattle coming off within the next 2 or 3 weeks, just receiving the full advance on that, and really active even the day before the 4th, that Friday after the 4th, that weekend, and early this past week. Just really turned aggressive out there. But your calf markets, for those calves for immediate delivery and those being sold in the sale barns right now, just kind of steady to $3 higher. But like I just said, that marketing break that we normally see right there around 4th of July. Now the Southeast was shut down. That's a granted. The Southeast is going to be shut down. They weren't shipping any cattle over that week and almost a full 2 weeks there. But out in the country, your direct sales, your video marketing was very active. A lot of your Midwestern auctions were active. Oklahoma City had a sale both weeks, so did Joplin. With the 4th falling on a Thursday there, it made it easier for those auctions to go ahead and have their regular run, and it didn't really affect it with people being off work, especially whenever they got those cattle to where they were going. But they had good sales right through there. Right before the 4th there, Green City had their regular 4th of July yearling special, and it was a barn burner. Had 4,200 head on offer, and most all of those in load lots. But by the time we got to this week, those inflated prices that we saw at that sale weren't even big news anymore. I mean, it was just day after day, you just heard of yearlings selling higher than they did the day before. But we finally caught year-ago levels, especially on your big yearling cattle, maybe not on some lighter calves, but we've caught year-ago levels that we've been lagging way behind for so long. Because if you remember last year at this time, the market was headed south, a terrible drought, and the corn crop was burning up. And this year, kind of boosted by these lighter numbers, and we're really starting to see that come to light now. These lighter numbers of cattle. There was a lot fewer cattle turned out on grass this year. There was a lot fewer calves backgrounded last winter because of the lack of feed and hay, and then not as many yearlings turned out on grass this year. And then these guys that usually buy those up are seeing that. The Flint Hills doesn't have as many cattle coming off of it this year as they normally do, and these feedlots that like to feed those green yearlings like that, they really jumped out there and bought those cattle. But by the time when we started before the 4th there, hardly any contracting had been done because the market was coming up and everybody was waiting on that market to come to them. Now we've gone 2 weeks, and most all your green yearling cattle coming off grass have been contracted, a lot of them shipped even. A good portion of your fall delivery calves have already been contracted now. And the best demand was for those big yearlings weighing 900 pounds or better. And that's a little curious, because you think one of the reasons that we can see this better demand for yearlings is because we think this corn's going to be cheaper on the new crop. Those heaviest yearlings are barely going to have a chance to eat any of that corn. But that's where your best demand was on those heavy yearlings, especially steers weighing around 900 pounds. But Superior had their big auction a week in the Rockies this week, and Superior's just getting so big. They got 200,000 on offer all this week. Every day this week they sold, and each day they sold a different class of cattle in a different area of the country. But the top sales there, we saw those, and as a general rule, that whole sale was just sharply higher. even on the fall calves than the Corn Belt special that they had the last time. A lot of those calves selling $5 to fully $10 higher for the same delivery period. So you've just seen this market really come to fruit. And on these yearlings, there wasn't so many yearlings offered before, but at the Cedar Top Ranch in Chadron, Nebraska, he had 300 head of steers to deliver the 1st of October, weighing 8 1/4 and 157.50. And of all the auction prices and of all the direct sales that we've heard of, that's got to top them all right there. But 157.50 weighing 8 1/4, and yes, those cattle are NHTC, non-hormone treated cattle. But other than that, which is pretty significant, in that part of the country you see a lot of those NHTC cattle. But that's all those cattle had. They're just good green cattle, good yearlings coming off. The TA Ranch, Saratoga, Wyoming, not New York, had 1,000 weaned steer calves, and wean might be the magic number there because you don't see a lot of fall delivery calves that are weaned, especially this light. But just huge prices on those 1,000 steers. They had a pretty good cut of them to weigh 475 coming in November, early November. Weighed 475, bring 201. Awful good jag of them to weigh 4 1/4. They bring 222, and then around 137 head to weigh 350 the 1st of November, and at 350 pounds, $2.58 a pound. And that's flirting with those all-time records that we had there a year and a half or two ago. But your fed cattle market still does not support any of these prices on feeder cattle. It was steady this week. $1.19 primarily in the southern plains and a few scattered sales, $1.21 in the northern plains. Your regional weighted averages this week in the north central states, 800 to 900 pound steer this week cost you $142.05 compared to $133.39 last week and $144.40 a year ago. South central states, 700 to 800 pound steer cost you $143.72 compared to $137.24 last week and $146.22 a year ago. Down in the southeast, 500 to 600 pound steer cost you $141.98 compared to $141.33 last week and $147.04 a year ago. That wraps up your feeder market summary for this week. Check out our website for more market information at marketnews.usda.gov. And from the Regional Market News Office in St. Joe, Missouri, we'll talk to you next week.